Can you help me click the unmute thing at the top? Sure. Sarah, how about now? Okay, perfect. Thank you. You didn't miss anything. We just went through introductions. Right. Agenda, same things, just on the screen, and same thing as on here. So we'll get started first by introducing our Delaware district team. If you've been to a past community meeting before, these people should be familiar faces, but if not, we have Ricky Kearney Jr. He's our district supervisor. He manages all of Delaware Park, all three sections, so Japanese Garden, the Meadow site, as well as White Lake site. We have Tommy McDaniels, four-person, Jacob and Eddie Christmas, who work across the parks. They usually split up, like Eddie's usually on this side, Tommy and Jacob's usually on the other side, and Tommy goes between both. And before we get to Jason, I also wanted to introduce one of our stakeholders that's in the room today. We have Jillian from the AKG. Thank you for being here, Jillian. Appreciate it. And I believe we have some docents from Explore Buffalo as well. So thank you for coming. All right, Jason, you want to take it away?
I got the floor. Thank you everybody for coming tonight. We appreciate it. I see a lot of familiar faces here that have been here a number of years, and we've had a lot of great discussions. I've been here, in the building for about 13 or maybe I think going on 14 years now. And when I came and got involved with this building, it had some real challenges in infrastructure. And doing events, it was tough. The building didn't look the way it does now. The infrastructure wasn't in. We've made so much progress over the last so many years, and it's every year it just keeps getting better. And I couldn't appreciate more the partnership that I have with the Buffalo Olmsted Parks, and for the most part, the City of Buffalo supported, and they certainly have been. Has everybody been here for dinner, for brunch, or works in the lives or works around the neighborhood? It's my vision and my goal when I started here, when I opened this place, was really to blend in and be part of the community here and part of the neighborhood, and that was a big part in when we designed the place. People were always coming in. I don't know, how many people were in this room before we renovated this place? It was dog ugly, right? And people would, they don't see the beautiful homes that are around here. They just drive past them, and they're always imagining, like, what does it look like inside there? What does the architecture, and people dream about the homes and the park. And this is like the building that they get to come in and feel like they're part of this kind of exclusive, really cool neighborhood. And they would come in and be like, meh. Yeah. And so when we designed, the space, we really wanted to. We did a lot of research and old Buffalo architecture, from the tiles that are on the floors to they don't make those old Grecian tiles that many of you probably have in your foyers when you're walking in. I had to pay someone to sit there and lay those out and do a lot of research and do this old school walnut wainscoting and build this beautiful fireplace with the architectural tiles and the exposed brick, and a lot of these lanterns, those are from Terrace from the 1950s. We spent a lot of money to make this place feel not just from the outside but from the inside like you were entering a piece of history and a part of this neighborhood. That was real important to us, and I think we did a pretty good job. And we do a lot of events here. We serve a lot of patrons in our a la carte restaurant, and we've made a lot of infrastructure changes so that the roof's not leaking and the toilets aren't overflowing. The challenges that we had when we first started here, wow, it was really difficult. We've invested a lot in this building, and a lot of the money that we bring in that we give back is not just to the Conservancy, which we love being partners with and supporting, but a lot of it is taking care of this building as best we can and keeping it open and not letting it get back to the state that it was during the I see pictures, from the early 80s and the mid 80s where like, it was rough around here. And now people tell me they a lot of you guys and other people in the neighborhood, they bring their friends and their clients and stuff in here and, have dinner or drinks on the patio and like, and people always say, it doesn't feel like Buffalo. But more and more, it does feel like Buffalo because Buffalo is kind of, it's coming back. We're appreciating more of the natural resources, the architectural, you know, the architectural treasures that we have, and we love being a part of that. And we love being a part of the resurgence of Albright Knox. I just opened up a new restaurant in the Virtual Penny Art Gallery. If you haven't been to, you should check out. It's a soup bar and cafe. And we're doing more and more events here than we ever have. And it's been a just a such a popular destination, and we're happy to be a part of that. I want to continue doing it for many years. Many of you guys have heard kind of our pitch and what we do here is, so I don't want to run through that every year. I want to kind of get your guys' questions and what your feedback on when you've come in here for dinner, what you like about what we're doing in the park, what we can do together, better. I mean, there's still a lot of challenges within the park, from vagrants to parking to maintenance, and it's really difficult for us to do on our own to keep up with, and the Conservancy definitely helps. We're always a good portion of our profits are reinvested, into the building and into the parks, from the beds, from, expansions to new Birchville wallpapers we have in the restrooms and downstairs. But, I want to hear from you guys, what would make you guys, come here more, book more parties. One thing I want to remind everybody is when you book a party here, this is kind of our mission statement, is you're also supporting the Olmsted parks. So, I asked everybody when they're thinking about where to have an anniversary or a birthday party or a Christmas party for your companies, think about having it here, because a good portion of what you spend here goes back to, supporting the parks and paying for the zone gardeners and, maintenance around the lakes and, the Buffalo Maritime and the boats and like that. We all have a really close, great working relationship, and we work together and collaborate on a lot of events, and, just want to keep making the space better. I have to say, a couple years ago, last year, 2 years ago, everybody complained the whole meeting about the shape of the rose garden. Mm-hmm. It didn't look great, and a lot of our brides, brought it, to our attention, and rose gardens, you plant them, they have a lifespan like we all do, and it was time to uproot them and to change them. And for a couple of years, they weren't quite where we really needed them to be. And I got to say, this year they look absolutely beautiful. Our brides are completely happy. Everybody that has come to the park, we hear compliments about them all the time. So that was like an investment in time and resources that the parks put in, and a lot of that was because of the input we got from one of these events a couple of years ago. So we appreciate that, because you guys help us create a priority in to the city and to the Conservancy and whatnot, and like what needs to be done next, because there's always something more. And same thing with the lighting. Was a big issue a couple of years before, and the lighting is a lot better in the park. So I want to hear what you guys like, what you guys think we need to work on and prioritize next to just continue to make the neighborhood and these parks better for you guys. So who's first? Yes, sir.
Debbie talks about opening up the ground floor for businesses.
You talk about the lower level where the boats used to be and the ice cream used to be. Thoughts? It really all comes down to infrastructure. It's not that wouldn't be welcome, or that's something that wouldn't be done. It's damp down there. We just finished a couple of days where we just got torrential rains on there. There's been, and it drained fairly well. I remember, many occasions where me and my staff are out there grabbing koi fish like this, and running them out to the lake and putting them back in before they drown into the drains. So in a perfect weather season, it would make more sense, to do that. But I know the park is, that's more of their space, and they have invested a lot into. I mean, they've had to strip all the drywall down there. Like when we take a look at the drainage, and we still have the floods that, and yesterday and the day before probably would have been those floods without the work that they had done. Where it would have destroyed anything we would have invested and put in there. So I think it's kind of a wait and see, like how is the infrastructure working before we can, make those investments. I know I just opened an ice cream stand down at the Harbor Walk. I just bought the old Hatch, and we're doing parties and open that, and now I own an ice cream stand. I'm a hero to my kids. But when I was talking to people from Terrace, like, I thought, I think that would be a lot of fun here. So one of the things I pitched to them is to get some equipment and try out maybe like a, mini ice cream stand next year, either up here or something mobile that we can bring down there and start testing some of those things out. I mean, we do get questions from clients and neighbors that they're nostalgic, for those days when that used to be, part of the parking experience. And I would love nothing more than to see them back, but, you don't want to spend, $100,000 building something and then have, torrential rains come and, just wipe it all away. So, I would be completely in support of that. I think, more businesses, supplement the businesses, that are here. So, that's a great question, and we would like to see more of that use. But with us being here as well, a lot of the parks facilities space that they need for equipment and stuff like that has moved down to that level, and so they would be kind of displaced, if it took over some more of that spot. Especially like Buffalo Maritime that has that whole section over to the side, and that's where the gardeners and stuff like that, they're kind of home bases. But it's definitely something that we would support if it came up. Yes, sir.
So as a board member of the Buffalo Maritime Center, we're thrilled with the partnership and quality, and our annual meeting came up just beautifully.
Excellent.
Yeah. So, kudos.
Well, it's I love my relationship with the Buffalo Maritime. In fact, they have a boat called the Zephyr. It's a 13-foot wooden sailboat. And I'm trying to get Teddy Johnson from Hadley Exhibits to, he's been busy. This is his racing time here. But that you guys have been generous enough to donate to us. And I want to have hung behind this beautiful canoe over there. Because I always thought of this place as a boat, the Delaware Park Boathouse. In fact, that's what I wanted to name it when we were, first thinking of restaurant names, and my partner thought it was too bougie and yacht club, sound. So, and then we went back and did some research and found out that in 1898, the last time there was a restaurant here, it was called the Boathouse. So we missed a golden opportunity, and now we're the Terrace. If I ever change the name of this place, it will be back to the Boathouse. Anybody? Who else? Yes, sir.
I'd just like to second some sort of ice cream stand or to go type thing catering to family. So I think it's great that you guys at least sometimes do the baskets for Shakespeare in the Park and things like that. But with the playground right over there, like I take my daughter there or over by the lake all the time. It'd be really nice to be able to grab something and also see an expanded playground.
I would love nothing more than a redone playground there. I think, I've offered to do, partner up and do some fundraising, for, a playground. I think it's a project that really needs to be done. And I was so excited when I read the newspaper really quickly and saw that they were going to put a new playground in Delaware Park. I was like, yes, finally! And they're like, it's something else. But the cost of building a playground has gone up so much over over the last 10 years. It's crazy.
Just on that, I bet if you put up signs with QR codes for donations to support making the park bigger, you would get a bunch of money.
Take you on contact.
Yeah, I think
you know, I would be more than happy to, you know, host fundraisers and to, you know, try to spearhead that. I had gotten some, you know, a little bit of pushback, you know, from that, or not really, you know, the pushback, but there's a priority of playgrounds throughout the city that are on that list. We're not on the top tier, but we're right here, and I bring my kids here, you know, all the time. A brand spanking new playground here. And I'm sure the parks would love to see that too, and they would love to see some community involvement from some people that would want to, you know, maybe, you know, create a committee and start looking through that and some fundraising efforts. I would love to, you know, talk to you more about that and find a way to make that a reality. That's been, you know, a drum I've been beating for quite a few years, and you know, I won't stop beating that drum. Yes.
Yeah, back to the issue of ice cream. Maybe hot chocolate in the winter.
Oh, we have the best hot chocolate in the winter.
What about mobile trucks or something? Does that violate an Olmsted?
There is a rule in the parks that they don't want, you know, food trucks, you know, on and around Lincoln Parkway.
Yeah.
We do have, I think, a really good hot chocolate program. You know, it's important to me. My wife makes the best hot chocolate, and she, you know, she directs people. And like you know, like hot chocolate is not made with water.
Oh no.
It's made with, you know, it's made with good chocolate. It's made with cream. And, you know, we have a festival every year. It's a cookie fest where we do like Bab Santas, which are the boozy hot chocolates, you know, for adults, and they all get a nice mug to take home. And that is one of our most popular events. We do about 400 or 500 people, you know, for that. So, you know, I love nothing more than to see, you know, take my kids sledding and to, you know, have the kids come up and, you know, come in, and parents too, they come in for, you know, hot chocolate. We sell to go, and, you know, we're supportive of any way we want people to have a mixed use in the park. You know, one of the things that we are going to be pivoting and being more focused on, you know, in 2025 is being a little bit more event driven, you know, rather than traditional restaurant or, you know, reservation restaurant. What we're finding more and more is that it's difficult. You know, parking is a real, you know, challenge in the park, and you know, we get a number of reservations, you know, a night that say, you know, I just can't find parking. We can't make it. You know, and we get a lot of walk-ins, and I hate turning away walk-ins for people that are already here enjoying the park. They're over at Albright Knox, over at the virtual thing. They're over at the, you know, the boats or whatnot. And I hate turning away those tables for the people that are in the park. So we're moving, you know, away in 2025 from a more reservation model to more of a walk-in model. You know, with a little bit more of a casual menu that, you know, will probably be a little bit more family friendly. And I want people to come in with their girlfriends and, you know, get a bottle of rosé, enjoy the sunset, you know, get some shared plates. You know, some of the kids, you know, we'll have some ice cream. Like, that's more the model that I want to move to. It was actually more of my original model. We were pushed more into a fine dining model. But you know, fine dining is becoming more and more difficult, you know, in this era. You know, the costs are going up. It's becoming more difficult to sustain, and less people are interested in it. And the people that are interested in it are the ones that are going to be like, you know what? I can't find a parking spot. I'm not coming. And then I lose a table that I've been saving for an hour and a half. And I'm turning away, you know, a family that is, you know, I don't want to be like, you know, you should have made a reservation 2 weeks ago. I don't want to be that place. I'm not that kind of guy, you know. So I think that'll be a positive experience, you know, for us. We'll do more events. We'll do more public events, like the Cookie Fest, we do Cider Fest, which I find that every time I do a festival or an event, where the kids have activities like face painting and things like that, and then mom and dad can get, get a cider or, you know, a cocktail and watch the kids have fun and have some loud music. Oh my God, I have to turn away like 250 people and they're waiting, you know, they want tickets for those things. So I want to do more of those things. We're thinking about, I live in Kenmore, and the Kenmore Farmers Market is awesome. And it's really blowing up, and I'm friends with the director there. We're talking to her about expanding like our Cookie Fest, you know, market, and doing a longer series where I can get some of those vendors in and do like a winter market, you know, as well as our brunch. You know, I think that would be a lot of fun. You know, we work a lot with Shakespeare and, you know, coordinating some, you know, fun events with them. They do some pop-ups in the fall. This is kind of the direction that we're going. I've always wanted to be more of a part of the community rather than a bougie restaurant in the middle of the park. So I think that's what people are kind of asking for. The biggest challenge that we've had, you know, especially with the fine dining or, you know, model is, you know, I love Albright Knox, and they're a great partner, and they're a great draw to our community. They're a great draw to the neighborhood. They're also a, you know, drain on some of the resources that we have, and I think all the neighbors around here probably, you know, feel that. Let's just have an honest conversation about it. One of the things that we need, and I just had a meeting with Sally Joya, so let's call Sally and tell her to put some pressure on Robert. We know he has state, you know, he's got some state juice. The psych, Buffalo Psychiatric, not the Buffalo Psychiatric Center, but the Buffalo Health and what is the building to the right of it, not the Joyous, not the Richardson, next to it. They have a ton of parking there. 25% of it gets used. Right? We've had a lot of exhaustive meetings with the stakeholders around here that we need a spot for the people that work at the Albright, the people who work here and the other spots to park. So if they can park there, it's not so much that we don't have enough parking here on Lincoln Parkway. It's that we don't have enough parking for the people that want to come to Lincoln Parkway and the employees that come and park for 8 to 10 hours at a time.
Right.
They get here first thing in the morning and take up all the spots for 10 hours. 8 to 10 hours, their whole shift. They're not coming in for 2 hours and leaving.
So they're not taking it. It says there's a 2-hour window during the week.
No, that's hilarious. You know,
I just wondered.
Yeah. Well, some spots there are, and some spots they're not. You know, and they're doing some, you know, some infrastructure here that's taking some parking. But, you know, I need everybody's. You know, if you guys are feeling it, you know, like we're feeling it, and everybody else is feeling it, help us, you know, point that frustration into a direction where we can get some progress, because there are the spots. There is a willingness and there's an effort from the Conservancy, from Albright Knox, from Birchville Penny, from the History Museum, from everybody who's in to try to, you know, get those spots opened up so at least the employees can be directed there. I understand if they don't want like just the chaos.
You could have like a shuttle.
Well, they could have, you know, just a parking tag. Like you're allowed to park here or you're not. But if we can move those, you know, say 50 or 60 cars, you know, of employees over there, that opens up, you know, a lot more spots for people that are more fluid, coming in to use the boats or come to have brunch with us or come to an event or whatnot, coming to get ice cream. Make it easier for those people to get in and out because those spots are moving instead of just, you know, like right now where it's kind of an employee parking lot for about, you know, 4 blocks up and down. I pay a ton of money every year for a golf cart driver to drive up and down and grab people and bring them in and grab them out as fast as they can, and it's a popular service, and we'll continue to do that. But it would be a lot easier if we could just, you know, find a spot for the employees to park. They used to be able to park in the lot over there, and I understand why they can't anymore. And I'm not blaming Albright Knox because I love them being here. They're an incredible, they're an incredible, you know, destination to be next to. I mean, it certainly is, you know, a big help for us. But you know, that's where it makes it look more difficult.
Well, does anyone want to address that? I know we're not to the parking part of it yet, but yeah. I'm the deputy director of the Buffalo AKG, so I can speak to this issue because I've been working on parking for 4 or 5 years now. So to address this conundrum particularly, you're right. Our employees used to park in the lot. That's when we had 75 employees. We have now 188 employees as of today. And you're right that on any given day, about 50 are parking in the streets. Because we have nowhere else to park with them, except for on days when we're closed, which is they are allowed to park in the lot on the days that the museum is otherwise closed to the public. The lot is also open to the public to park in those days, but we're finding that the public doesn't have that. Either they're not willing to pay for it. There is a pay for parking. It was an unbelievably expensive lot to build, and we had to make hard choices about making that a surface lot or give more screen space back. So we've got to make up the money that it took to build the lot underground.
We're talking about the underground.
Underground, and it's going to be bigger, because there's a water table underneath, and it's bordered by buildings, historic buildings and a road, right? So that's limited. You're talking about the Office of Mental Health lots. So
yes,
so
sorry, I could not think of the right. You know.
So everybody has the understanding of that issue, and we're all talking from the same place.
Yeah, everybody's working on it. From
yes.
What I understand.
So I've taken this all the way to Chris Stokes and Sean Ryan, and I need to get to the governor with it, because does everyone remember when there was a major construction project over at the psychiatric facility about 4 years ago to build a pediatric facility? That's where they were ultimately going to move the West Seneca facility over there. They ultimately did not move it, but those buildings were built with state bonds that require the parking to be attached to the lease for that building. So only patients, families, and employees of that building are allowed to park in the lot now.
Oh, wow.
Why can't anybody say, sure, but we're not using it, and somebody else should be able to park there? Potentially someone can, for a very small, maybe we would be willing to pay a small amount for our employees to have an annual pass to work to park there. But that's about as far as I've gotten with hitting a little bit of a brick road each time.
That's in the state bond issue.
I don't know the answer to that. Yeah. I have an open question. It came up again a few weeks ago, and so I re-raised the question with the She asked if it would require legislation, and I do not know. That's unfortunately not my area of expertise.
It's my understanding that it's not considered for legislation. It's for
bonds.
Potentially, yeah.
How? I would say almost certainly, without having seen the bond documents.
Consent from the trustee.
Yeah, the trustee says, okay, pay me X. I can't imagine that any politician is going to say no. I mean, the trustee has a fiduciary duty.
How do I figure out who the trustee for the bonds is?
If they were issued to multiple purchasers, there's a prospectus probably.
Right.
And in the prospectus, they would indicate who the trustee was for the bondholders.
Okay.
Now, not in all cases, but maybe in this case.
Even if there were state bonds, there's a trustee for bonds from the state.
When you say state bonds, does the state own them, or did the state?
My understanding is that the state owns them.
Makes sense. Yeah, it's a state.
Right. I don't know, but the Office of Mental Health is a state entity.
Yeah.
The Terrace building, everything in the state volunteers at the rich. And we could not park in anything that was a state building. We had to park behind. So Terrace, all of those, that was the inpatient. That was 200 inpatients. But there's apartments in the back that aren't even being used.
I know.
And so at one time when we were volunteers at Richardson, we were able to park there.
Also, Lincoln Parkway is full of Buffalo State students, right? That's a long tradition because. So
and that's
negotiate opening up the back part of the Birchfield Penny to student parking and giving them a reduced rate. They want $200 or $300 a semester, so students try to not pay that fee.
I mean the Birchfield Penny, I mean, does have.
Why aren't they taking? Why don't they take it? They take it for a few weeks. You probably wouldn't have any.
Well, there's a lot. I don't think all of Lincoln Parkway is.
It's 2 hours.
A lot of Lincoln is 2 hours. Yeah. Forest has no time.
Yeah.
There's no parking on.
Right.
Yeah, no parking on is.
I have brought that up as well.
Right.
Yeah, it's the only street in the city. Well, there's one other one. There's one other one by the old Children's Hospital. Oakland Place.
And you can't park in Tudor.
Or is it Tudor?
You can't park in Tudor.
Yeah, there's just a couple, high rent district, streets, but that would be, and that was, when I was talking to, one of my, some of my friends at Albright Oxford, like, we would love to park at Terrace if we can help with that because they feel safer, parking there.
For a while. We just did.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they started to get. You're talking about Buffalo State. Buffalo State's been wonderful partner, and, especially Dr. Duran in providing for our employees very reasonable annual passes to park in some of their lots. Now, it's a long walk. It's a very far lot, and it is actually closer to park here, which is why I think some of them elect to do so, especially those in the winter. But take a look tomorrow and see on the days that the museum is closed to the public. It is what days, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So tomorrow, I mean, today was kind of an awkward day because it rained and it was brown, but tomorrow and next week, take a look, because I think you'll find that there still actually is a lot of parking. Our lot is totally full of employees, and you'll find that the neighborhood is still full, right? So.
Yeah, just anything that helps, reduce congestion, and if I could get my employees to park over at the office, with them too. And and I just want to make it clear again, I'm grateful for the infrastructure and the partnership I have with Albright Knox. They have a beautiful big facility, and it requires a lot of employees, to run it. So I don't fault the employees for parking the only place that they are able to. We need to, find a solution so that, they can, help, relieve congestion. My employees, as well. I mean, they would be happy to take, a short walk, and like it would be tough to say, oh, all of a sudden, we're going to start, ticketing everybody that parks there without offering them an alternative.
Right.
Because that wouldn't be fair. I mean, I got employees too that come in for not as many, but that need to park, and feel safe when they're walking back to the house.
How far is it?
Sorry, he had a question first.
Well, this is on the subject of parking, but relevant to this conversation. Why is there construction going on next to the museum
in the middle of the summer
and absorbing parking, and it doesn't look like anything's happening over there?
I would love to ask the same question, Fred. This is the City of Buffalo project. It's not our project.
I know that.
Yeah.
What is it?
Oh, it's to do all of the infrastructure that they had promised as a part of the expansion, which includes anything on their property, which is city property, which unfortunately has to be done in warmer climate, which is all of the sidewalks. So they're all being regraded, repaved. We only had a few different sidewalks. You'll see much more connected, much better connectivity from the Elmwood side of this neighborhood to this side of the neighborhood. New lighting, new benches. It'll make it ultimately a lot safer. It is taking a little bit longer than it's working. Yeah.
We all understand, progress does require some inconvenience, but yeah, I mean, they could be working a little quicker. They could have given us a little bit more of a heads up of, when it was starting, or, what it was going to entail. But, we're grateful it's getting done. It is an inconvenience. It'll make the place, better, in the long term. But, it's not, and it's not my intention to say, to point fingers. It's just, these are, solutions that are going to require more than just, me soundboarding it, and, an AKG soundboarding it, but, trying to get some, some higher up, help to, navigate the bureaucracy, to, find those solutions, because it seems to everybody here, and every time I'm in a meeting, and I'm in, a meeting pretty often with some pretty influential, state representatives and stuff that say they're working towards it, and they have the same exhausted tone in their voice that I have. And I don't know why it shouldn't be, a little bit easier, especially with the governor who lives, a couple miles away.
Have you ever approached Blackburn? Tops? There's a huge parking lot there, and shoveling your employees.
From Tops of Blackburn? No, like people want to get, they want to be close. I mean, a lot of our, clientele, especially, for events. I mean, they're, I mean, our clientele is not, 18 to 30.
No, I'm saying not for your employees. Like the AKG and your employees.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
they would. They would laugh at us if we said we're going to show them, and it would be cost prohibitive, The history museum would be maybe more of a realistic possibility. If we had a show, but some challenges too. And I didn't mean to take up everything on parking. I know that's a whole other agenda. Does anybody have anything else about the terrace? Yes.
Yeah, I think parking is the #1 issue here. But I was just curious of how far from here to the Richards and how long? That like a half a mile or a mile?
I'd say half a mile.
To the front doors of the Richardson?
And that's where you're talking about.
Or that parking lot.
No, it's not that it would help out so much for the people coming like right here because they want to, but if our employees and the AKG employees, if they're entering from the other side, it would be a much closer.
Right.
Like I don't think people would park over there. Patrons, to come all the way around to Lincoln Parkway. That's more of a track that
Then you go up and down looking for a spot, park 3 blocks away.
But there's a lot of people that want to use the parks that have mobility issues, and and that becomes
Do you guys have any other questions relating to the Terrace restaurant?
Does everybody enjoy the food and service when they come in?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And thank you guys. And please keep in mind we are going to be doing some incentives for events this winter for supporters of Olmsted Parks. Special rental rates and discounts for think about like if you're hosting a party or birthday party or shower or a Christmas party for your company or whatnot. Think about having it here because a portion of our sales does go to help support the park. So that's without writing a check, that's one way to write a check that you're going to have to write anyways, and also support the park. So, thank you guys.
Thank you.
And I wanted to follow up on what Jason mentioned about like why financial support like this contract we have with the Terrace, donations from donors is so important because. So we are all city parks with a public-private partnership with the city of Buffalo. They give us about 40%-ish, right?
39%. Yeah.
Less than 40. 39% of our operating budget to help operate and run and maintain the entire park system, 850 acres from north to south of the city of Buffalo. The rest of the money we raise every single year from scratch through donors like you guys, foundations, corporate, state grants, etc. It takes a lot of time, effort, and it's something that is a work in progress every single year. So we really value partnerships like that we have with the Terrace and also support from community members like yourself. Any questions on that? I'd like to quickly review the next few items. So just a couple of projects that are in this vicinity. So Marcy Casino, there has been staircase projects at the east side. You would see on your way in, you might have seen some new stairs that were recently done. And the lower section of the east side stairs has not had the railing installed, but we're waiting on an update from the city. The doors of the Marcy Casino are also getting an improvement project. A lot of it has been either vandalized, they're just really old, like what Jason mentioned. Some of them don't lock anymore. We put like planks to hold them still. It's not a good situation. So the color scheme remains, but we're working with a contractor to improve that as well. So that includes the doors at the bottom that Jim was mentioning by the garage, and also the second floor site down below. Here are some examples of the doors. Okay. And if you frequent Delaware Park, this might be something of interest to you. So bathroom access for this area of Delaware, we have just wanted to re-emphasize the areas that you can use public bathrooms. So we have the Rumsey Shelter by Windsor, which is everyone familiar with where that is? Yeah. Okay. This year, if you've noticed, it has been closed more often. Yeah. It's not because we are shutting the doors, it's because plumbing has been an issue. It's been clogged very often, and our staff have no choice but to close it before it gets worse. So we work with the city plumber, and our staff try to unclog it. But when those things happen, it's usually like the day off. They go in the door, they notice that it's clogged. No choice, we have to shut the door for that day. Usually it's a 24-hour turnaround where they fix it the same day. But if not, we do our best to get it as fast as we can. There is also the Terrace restaurant here is available for bathroom use during the opening hours, and the AKG's Ralph Wilson Town Square is also available for public restroom use during the opening hours. So for both establishments, if you want to use their restrooms, make sure to check out their website before you go. And then there are a few porta potties around the area as well. To the Rumsey shelter, this year there was some masonry damage. So you can see here there was some damage that needed to be repaired. It was unplanned for. We did not foresee this damage coming to us, so we didn't have the budget to really repair it as soon as we can. We are reaching out to the city for support, and that is the current status. Yes.
Was that vandalism or
I think this is, we're not entirely sure. I have a feeling it's basically old. It was old and maybe weather damage. And any other questions on these few projects? Okay. For invasive species management, I wanted to highlight this because our staff have been working really hard, especially along the shorelines of Hoyt Lake. So we've been removing a lot of buckthorn in the area and also preparing for a project preparing rock socks. This is in the Japanese garden site to help with the replacement of the yellow flag iris, which is an invasive species. The hope is to replace this once you take out the plants, to replace them with native plantings so as to improve the ecosystem of our parks in general. But it's a work in progress. It takes a long time. It takes consistent effort every single year. So we are recruiting volunteers. So if you want to join us, every month they meet monthly to have planning meetings. They also meet in the park to do actual physical work if that's of interest to you, either or. This is the volunteer opportunities I was talking about. This is Christy, who leads all of our invasive species management. And if you're interested, this is the website. I can also send information to you, or feel free to reach out to me anytime. Okay, we have a few upcoming events, which are all on the table there, so I'm not going to bore you with this. Walks and talks, Rose Garden volunteers, and we have, for younger kids, we have tree identification journaling walk, super fun. And you get to take home a little journal. And we have a travel watercolor sketchbook workshop in Cazenovia Park. If you have not visited that park, it's a beautiful park in the South Towns. And now to this, which we kind of talked about just now. Yeah, we kind of talked about just now a little bit. I just wanted to highlight that this neighborhood parking plan did not come out in a vacuum. It was very intentional with many cultural neighbors in this vicinity of Delaware Park and goes up to Niagara Street. Like we have Vision Niagara, Black Rock Riverside Alliance, organizations in this whole area. They are coming together at least once a quarter to come up with solutions together to see how we can be more collaborative with parking. So it's a work in progress again. We're trying to find organizations that will be willing to share parking spaces like schools. Helen, you mentioned TOPS. I'm not too sure about corporate companies like that, but for schools and institutions, we see opportunities there to reach out and see whether they could work with us on things like that. So we have Jillian here from the AKG, Julie Snyder, who's also on our boards from Forest Lawn, and stakeholders like these are so important. So I just want to assure you as neighbors that we're working on it. We understand the frustration, and to Jason's point, it hurts business sometimes. So, but we welcome feedback. So if you do feel like there is some parking lot sitting idly somewhere, let us know and maybe we can add it to the resource list. Any questions on this? Okay. Well, that's the end of my presentation. All right. Is Jason still here? Thank you all for coming. We appreciate your time, and we'll stay for a little bit. Yes.
So your doses for Buffalo, and we do the Olmsted Park, Hoyt Lake walking tour. So a lot of our visitors will very much enjoy the tour, and we get big groups, and we do this tour, what, about 5 times a week? Maybe 4 or 5 times a week. Doing during the day, we do in the evening. And so a lot of we do use them, we go to the McMillan Monument. So is there any in the future talk of maybe restoring that, or trying to get that pathway up to the monument. I don't know if there's anything that, you know, is a consideration of Olmsted. I know you have a lot on your task list. And do you not have a sign intentionally because you don't want people going there because it's a safety issue, I assume, right?
There is a sign.
There is no sign.
No, there is no sign. Because at one time I was talking to Lauren Becker and Kate Stevenson, and we, you know, about if they're, you know, we're going to put up a sign of the history of the McMillan Monument, who McMillan was. We do that on our tours. But
I'll tell you in a bit.
Oh, he was the park superintendent for 30 years.
The McMillan, the next time you drive
is the red, it looks like a great big red fireplace. It's see off this Majag.
The next time you drive on the 198 towards Parkside,
looks like a
don't take your eyes off the road, use one eye and look on the right.
On there, all the carriages and stuff. There is a watering trough in the middle for horses and fountains on either side. And it was built of Scottish quartz, which was where granite, where McMillan was from. It was built in 1905.
It's on the south.
Oh, it's on the right. So we do guided tours and we take our visitors up there.
There's a stair.
And there's a staircase. Yeah.
From this
Right. So I didn't know, you know, I obviously, you know, monies, you don't, I don't know if there's consideration or would you ever think of, is there a plan for that? Like this?
From this angle, the McMillan Monument's probably
it's right over there. Yeah.
You can't see it.
You can't, you have to go, there's a pathway up to it, then there's steps. It's really fascinating to see. And his name is engraved on it, so you can't from the Skagit.
It looks like a chimney.
Looks like
a fireplace.
It's actually a monument. That's where it was a turnaround spot for carriages. The carriages would come in, horses would drink the water out of the trough, and then they would turn around. And McMillan had been the superintendent for 30 years. He was fired because
we don't have to get through the whole tour.
So what are your thoughts? Is there any?
Yeah. Are you both asking relating to this? Okay, one. So for what's your question?
Well, I just wanted to expound on it because I did the tour just a few days ago, and first of all, there's wet leaves on the stone staircase. There's one that's broken, and you have to be very careful not to hurt. And the branches are almost touching from either side. It's so overgrown, and so people have to kind of go like this to get through it. It is not safe.
Yes, yeah. I mean, we guide people and we do clean it ourselves because
I've done a little bit.
But it's I just didn't know what.
But I sent an email asking that back in May, and
sure, yeah. Well, okay. So when it comes to restoration, at this time, it's not a priority.
Okay.
And I know that's not the answer you want to hear, but when it comes to projects like these, it is oftentimes with a very limited budget, limited capital project management. Like capital projects, even if we get the money, we need the people to run the projects. So that itself is also one of the reasons why sometimes we say no to a project because we simply don't have enough capacity to run it. And we know that labor is short as well across the board. It takes, for example, the playground project that Jason mentioned at Cass and Delaware Park has taken close to 3 years. It's finally getting done this year, but that was so many years in making. Conversation was probably even further back. So that is one of the reasons I would say. I can envision one of the reasons why that spot is now not as popular is because of the 198.
Sure.
So in the future years,
maybe
crossing fingers, when the 198 is hopefully revamped in some way, reimagined, maybe there's an opportunity there to reconnect the parks and reimagine their area.
And the other comment we have from visitors that go on our guided tours is, so we tell them about all the trees and, you know, Olmsted's, all the different varieties. We point the trees out, the names of the trees. So some visitors have suggested, would it be possible to put a tag on the tree?
Right, that is like a dream in the making, but also
not
something.
All the trees, but the unique.
Yes, there's
like
something
the
that
plane and the Japanese tree that's outside here.
It's not. I guess how should I put it? It takes a little bit of research. On our end, our forestry manager has been working hard in the past few years just to inventory all of the trees we have in the parks. That itself has been a challenge, and we're working on it. but thank you. And to your point on sorry.
I'm saying, years ago, there were tags on the trees,
yes,
and it was a Girl Scout project.
Oh.
Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
What I will say is that there are a lot of opportunities now for ecological restoration, climate change, being what it is.
We're fascinated by the trees.
But to that end, I think that's why we would go to the pillar of our operations to do management, because that will open up the door for us to think more critically about the GIS software that manages and able to do trees. So that's a priority and something that I've been tasked with. So hopefully we've applied for 3D print since I started. So I'm really hoping that that will bear some fruit. So thank you.
So good.
First of all, thanks for everybody being here and all the students. I really appreciate it. I'm glad that the AKG has representation here as well. I'm here every single day with my dog walking around. My mother and I own properties, 2 properties within a block from here. And one thing that's been coming up a lot in the last few weeks is the new installation from the AKG. Yes. Fortunately, it's not good at all. Everybody who I know who have been witnessing the signs going up have gotten more and more frustrated. Not only because they are going against what Olmsted would want in this area, which is very natural, but also because the messaging is quite depressing. I was working in a museum out in Vancouver, Canada for a number of years, and also ran a studio out there for about 7 years before coming home. So I'm a huge proponent of public art. I absolutely love the AKG, and that's part of the neighborhood. But from what I can gather, and I totally agree, it's a bit of an overstep to take that much space within a space that was specifically designed for a city to give people relief in a natural environment. So I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to sit here and say some things about it. And I'm wondering, because I know I'm not the only one who feels this way, and it's something that's been a big voice online.
We get the same feedback from our visitors.
I'm wondering, can you speak to what's going on with the AKG in terms of that, like the response to the community? I know that it may be pushed out to 2027, which is quite long.
Well, thank you for raising the concern. Not the first time. Yeah. I want to also emphasize though that we've heard as much. We actually quantify this. We've done a study to quantify how many negative comments we're getting and how much positive feedback we're getting. And I can say that the aid is balanced in many regards. So we are getting also positive feedback. We understand that art, this is the most boring thing I'll say all night, art is subjective, right? Everyone finds what they want to find in it. And Chloe Bass's installations are not meant to be beautiful and inspiring. They're meant to evoke conversation. And people come to parks for a lot of reasons. They come to potentially find inspiration and solace. They might be working through hard things and might actually find a touchstone in what Chloe Bass, the artist, has written that helps them through that moment. So it wasn't intended to be something that is unilaterally inspiring or beautiful in the traditional ways that we think about this. You've certainly thought about this, I'm sure, a lot in your past life working in that realm. All that to say, it's a temporary installation. We've been talking a ton with our friends at the Olmsted Park. This is not, the artist had intended to do it and hoped it would be up for 3 years. We hear now that people don't want it up for 3 years. We have not reached the final agreement on what that time limit is, but it'll be less than 3 years. We want to at least see it through 4 seasons. You've noticed that a lot of those signs are reflective. The artist's intention is for all 4 seasons to be evoked in some of the things that the signs say, so that you can consider it differently in a very quiet or serene time of year, as in a very vibrant and active one, right? So I don't have a particular answer, but I want you to know that it's heard. This is not something that is being ignored in any regard. And that we want to honor the agreement we have with the park and the artist's intentions. And at the same time, we want to incorporate the neighborhood's feedback into this. So less than 3 years.
Will there be any opportunity for the community to speak directly with the AKG about this? Because I know there's plenty of people who show up for a meeting.
we have not planned such, if there is, I don't, what would you like that to accomplish?
Oh, well, I think those of us who are in the park every day and aren't really happy with the installation would love it to come down as soon as possible, simply because, from my understanding of Olmsted, they were supposed to be creating a space for city dwellers to be able to enter into a natural environment. And of course, all of it is constructed, all of it is designed. So we understand that. But one beautiful thing about this park, and I've lived in many countries and cities around the world, and this really truly is nature. And I really, really can't emphasize enough how important public art is. But when you're taking, and the public art curator at the AKG actually blew my mind when I came back to this city, because he's able to do such incredible things with murals, and I'm so grateful for his work. But that's happening on the side of a building. This is a beautiful park, and it's taking away from the natural beauty. So I think that in his curation of this particular installation, it's a bit of an oversight. That's my perspective. And I think that there are other people who might also have something to say in that regard. And it's because it's such a special place for people, and because of the original design for the space, it would be nice to be able to come together as a community and have a way of voicing that, because we don't have a forum, like we don't have the power that AKG does unless our voices.
Well, let's figure out how to do that, because I think we need to have a productive solution. Sure. I mean, putting someone in front of a room for everyone to be angry at him is not a productive solution, right? So I think we need to understand what we'd like to see happen as an outcome. And that is that, I'll give you my card and we can continue this conversation. Sure. But we're talking about it right now and bringing more angry voices together. I don't know that that's going to get us to a solution. That's going to create more tension. But let's talk about what that solution is. Right? Sure.
I just wanted to make one comment about that, because these signs just appear and there's no explanation for them. Why are they here? What is this? And then we find out, I did find out that it was supposed to be art. But why is there no explanation somewhere? Maybe at the beginning of the trail or something, you know,
it's not really a single, yeah, go ahead, the boat house where it has like this Kajakana Creek information, I think that was put up maybe 2 weeks ago. So it's easy to miss, but I think that could also be like a point of solution where if you want discussions on what's this exhibition about? Does that mean there's more QR codes or context provided to just sort of plant that seed earlier on if you're not down by the water?
So at the boathouse, there's actually an explanation of it?
Yeah, it talks about, and it's new, so it's really easy to miss because I mean, depending on where you are in the park, right? You could be walking on the Delaware Stairs going up to the museum, but it's easy to miss. So there's a web page dedicated to the museum. So if we maybe just connect with those QR codes a little bit better.
Okay. So this topic it's not the agenda doesn't include this topic, but I thank you for bringing it up. But we will address it again at the fall district meeting for Delaware Park, which is on October 5th. So please come. Yeah, that meeting is most likely going to be at the other side of Delaware Park, because it's on site at the playground side, but we will be addressing other issues or concerns or feedback across the entire Delaware Park as well. So you can bring it up then as well. Yeah. And in the meantime, just want to rest assured that AKG and Olmsted, we're working closely together. We understand the community's concerns. We've heard both sides, like what Jillian said. And we want to be a good partner, but we also want to see how we can find a balance between partnership, community feedback, and how we can find a middle ground, and also respect for the artists. So I just hope that we can find understanding.
Totally have a comment. This is more about the lake. I'm just wondering what the state of the water quality at Point Lake is these days, and what plans are.
Yeah, so we work closely with Waterkeeper, Buffalo Niagara Waterkeeper, on on Skajakwata Creek restoration. They are actually having they set up a community advisory group, which is made up of community stakeholders across the entire length of Skajakwata Creek, including, and Hoyt Lake is part of that area, I guess. So, sorry? The watershed. Yes, the watershed. So it's a work in progress. I would say at the moment that has its status quo. I don't think I would not advise paddle boarding, although I do see people there. Or like, don't let your dog drink the water. Because at the end of the day, the creek is the runoff. Sorry, the creek. The lake is the runoff from the creek.
Yeah.
And if you walk that side of Hoyt Lake, you see the trash bag, and it goes in the forest lawn. It is an issue that we are all aware of. It's something that we're trying to work on, and it's a huge part of the Skajakwata corridor restoration plan that we're working closely with stakeholders across the community with. Yes.
I'm interested in the vendors that are able to do upscale picnics. Can you talk a little bit about your policy and why you won't allow scheduling? It's always on a first come, first serve, because that prevents a vendor from being able to book a client if we don't know when we get here if we're actually in space.
So vendors, let me put it in a more layman's term. So anytime there's any vendor, yoga classes, or let me try to think, where the picnic in the park, the posh, like I think this luxury picnics kind of model where you earn money, you earn a form of revenue for a personal or corporate cause. There's a need to go through the city for a permit. Olmsted, we don't oversee the permit. Even if we want to do it, we have to go through the city for a permit too.
I have to get a permit.
Yeah.
Well, that's understood. The permit part is not the issue. It's the fact that you won't allow us to book a space and time. Because if I book a party for,
so the booking
at 10 o'clock, your policy as it stands is it's first come first serve. So if I pull up here and all the spaces that you designated are filled, then my client misses the boat because we don't have a space.
Sure. At this time, if you want to book a green space permit, it also goes through the city. So let's connect after this. I want to understand better what you're referring to about the first come first serve. I'm not too sure about that policy.
Yeah, I understand the city permits. That's not the issue.
Yeah, like so for maybe I can help a little bit. So with the Rose Garden, so we give permits for, and there's people that come in and use the Rose Garden, without permit. But if they can get a permit through us that we're entrusted by the city in order to schedule that space for a certain amount of time. But if they don't have that permit, they don't have a right to it. So we do schedule time for that area. The city does require a lot of infrastructure and permits that they will. It has to be a space that's designatable. And I see a lot of the spots where picnics are put up. I don't think are in their infrastructure for presentable spaces, and I think that might be where the disconnect is.
No, they have designated spaces.
I'm not too sure. Let me check in.
Yeah, I've designated the spaces. I think and I know it's not the easiest part of the city, but they do have. Hopefully they can give some clarity on that. I'm not familiar with a grid that designates a space, this space or that space or that space.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
More general areas that have been pre-established, like the Rose Garden or whatnot. So we don't want to have infrastructure. Or I think your business model is ahead of their infrastructure. So and they haven't figured out how to deal with it yet. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I'm thinking that is a disconnect. So when you're trying to get an answer, I don't think they're able to give you a right answer because they haven't caught up to the model.
The reserve space.
The reserve spaces from a
they need someone at the permit department who can create a reserve.
And I see a lot of those being used in different spaces around the park. They're not user reserved. And I think that's the disconnect where they're saying, well, yes, you can have a picnic. And I'm thinking of the conversations I've had, with the city and is they're from you want to have a picnic? Well, picnics are first come, first served. They're not absorbing your business plan and able to execute it in a way that's enforceable because they don't have an enforcement model. Here, like we have, we have permission to control the rose garden, and we're able to do that. They don't have an infrastructure in place to enforce the other spots in the park, and that's why they're halted to. They first come for certain places. I just don't think there's an issue.
So let's connect off
that helps. I'm not saying I'm an expert in that. I'm saying through my experiences, that's the best way I can maybe add a little bit of.
Sure.
Well, I'll look at my archives because I have.
Sure. This year, I believe.
That had certain spots designated.
I believe that was from the past year. We tried establishing something with the city, and I don't think it was accepted this year.
Okay.
So I don't even think there was a system in place for 2024 where vendors like yours could execute the business. So I'm not too sure, but let's connect on that. I would like to find out more. Any other questions?
One last question. What is your policy on people that pop up a tent and sleep here? So do you have anybody patrolling, or is that allowed? I just didn't know.
The park is
when I've done walking tours, like that precipice where the spire head used to be, where the bird got. There's tents put up. There's people that are sleeping in them. They're cooking. They have little, So is that? I mean, I don't know if you have somebody patrolling, or do you want us to call somebody? I don't know what the rules are.
Sure. If you see anything like that, you can call 311.
So it's not allowed?
It's not allowed.
It's not, okay,
but at the same time, it's also a more systemic issue that we understand is throughout the park system.
No, you don't want
so our staff, what we tell our operations crew is, if you feel safe and confident to tell them to leave, go ahead. But otherwise don't engage. Just call 311, call 911 if it's serious. And if you feel like they need assistance, call 211. 211 is the helpline for
Thank you.
mental health crises or anything that if you need to help, if they need help from social services, etc. So I would suggest to do that.
Okay.
But we don't patrol the parks. It's not part of our.
Well, this was a morning tour that I did, and then one in the evening too. Yeah, but I didn't know if somebody from Olmsted patrolled or walked, or I didn't know. Do you have anybody that did like a night?
Buffalo police. The Buffalo police come over here every night.
Well, this guy's over here, and you wouldn't even see him in that front end. Okay, so 311. I will do that. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to Terrace for hosting. Thank you.